It was the hottest day of the year in the great green forest. The sun was a giant fiery orange in the sky, and the air was warm and sticky. Lupi the leopard cub and Goti the baby goat were not having fun. They were hot, bothered, and very, very melty. "I'm so hot, I think my spots are going to slide right off," Lupi panted as she began fanning Goti with a large leaf. "Me too," bleated Goti. Goti started fanning Lupi in return with a leaf. "My fur feels like a big woolly sweater. We need a cool-down adventure right now." So they set off, dragging their paws and hooves through the warm grass, searching for a way to escape the heat. They tried sitting in the shade, but it was still too warm. They tried blowing on each other, but that just made them hotter. Just when they were about to give up and melt into a puddle, they found it. By the edge of the babbling brook was a large, flat, gray stone. And on top of the stone was the most wonderful thing they had ever seen on a hot day. It was a thick green blanket of moss, sparkling with little drops of water. It looked so cool and soft and inviting. "Whoa," Lupi whispered, her eyes lighting up. "It looks chilly," Goti said with a happy sigh. Lupi got closer and touched the moss with her paw. It was even better than she imagined. It was cool and damp and soft. A mischievous grin spread across her face. "Goti, this is it," she whispered excitedly. "It's a magic cool-down blanket, and it's just lying here. We should take it to that shady spot over there and lie on it." Goti hesitated, wiggling her ears. "I don't know, Lupi. It looks so perfect right there. What if it's supposed to be there?" "Don't be silly," Lupi said, already starting to peel one edge of the mossy blanket off the rock. "It's just moss. The forest is full of moss. This is special cool moss, and it's going to save us from melting. Come on." The idea of being cool was too good to pass up. "Okay," Goti agreed, and together they carefully peeled the entire moss blanket off the flat stone. They dragged it over to a shady spot under a big willow tree and flopped down on top of it. "Ah," they both sighed. The cool, damp moss felt wonderful against their hot fur. They closed their eyes and imagined a floating green cloud. But their peaceful rest was soon interrupted by a frantic sound from the stream. Plip, plip, plop. It was a worried, splashy sound. Curious, they got up and peeked back toward the flat gray stone. There, hopping around in a panic, was Freddy the Frog. He was using a tiny leaf to scoop little drops of water from the stream into a small puddle on the stone, the very spot where the moss blanket used to be. The puddle was shrinking quickly under the hot sun. "Oh, hurry, hurry," Freddy croaked to himself. "The sun is too hot. My babies! And who took my perfect cooling roof?" Lupi and Goti crept closer and looked into the puddle. It was full of tiny, wiggling tadpoles. Their hearts dropped. The moss wasn't just a moss blanket. It was a sunshade. It was a roof that kept the tadpole nursery cool and safe from the hot sun. They hadn't just taken some moss. They had taken the roof off a baby frog nursery. Feeling terrible, they looked at each other with wide, guilty eyes. "We're so sorry, Freddy," Lupi said out of breath. "We were just so hot, and we didn't think," Goti bleated, her ears drooping low. "We didn't see your babies. We promise we'll bring the moss blanket back right now." Without wasting another moment, they grabbed the cool moss blanket and dragged it back as fast as they could. Working together, they gently placed the moss blanket back over the puddle, making sure it was tucked in perfectly. The tiny tadpoles immediately started wiggling happily in the new shade. Seeing his nursery safe again, Freddie's face lit up with joy. He let out a long, relieved croak. "My roof! It's back! Thank you, Lupi and Goti," he said warmly. "It's a very important roof, and you have kind hearts to bring it back." Freddie smiled even wider. "Now, if you are still hot, I know a much better way to cool down." He led them to a shallow, shady part of the stream where the water bubbled over smooth stones. They splashed and played in the cool water until the sun began to set. It was the best cool-down adventure ever, and Lupi and Goti learned that the coolest way to have fun is to make sure it doesn't bother anyone else.